Hi and welcome to Global Studies with Miss Pritchard. This video is on early industrialization, so it is for Global 2 students. We're going to talk about England in the 17th and 18th centuries. Alright, so why did the Industrial Revolution begin? First off, you get changes in farming. One way to think about that is farming is what causes most of the major changes in society. The Neolithic Revolution turned it from nomadic hunter-gatherers to settled farming villages, which, allows civilization to develop. And in class, I will show you a graph that shows you how once we have the agricultural revolution and the industrial revolution that follows immediately after, basically you see the population shoot up and inventions, and life really got a lot better for humans in the last 300 years. So what was the agricultural revolution? Well, it was changes in farming that allowed fewer people to produce more food. A big part of that is the enclosures, because remember we learned about the landowners that wanted more and more land because they have all of these great changes. So in order to make it efficient to buy farming equipment, you have to have a large farm, which means you need to own more land, which forces a lot of poor people into the cities. Crop rotation, that is growing different crops that allows the soil to regenerate and produce more. And select livestock breeding. You let only your best animals reproduce so that you get bigger, stronger, better animals. All right, geography. Natural resources like coal, iron, wool, tin, those are all things that are going to help industrialization. Rivers and canals make transportation and water power available and easy. Then you add in the harbors that also allow transportation and make it easy to trade, first among cities and then eventually internationally. And keep in mind, England is an island, so no place is more than 70 miles from the coast. Although I think we read in the game it was 90 miles. Bonus points to whoever figures out which is the right answer, 70 or 90. All right, so why England? More than natural resources are needed to start industrialization. One of the benefits of England is they have a large population of workers. Remember, we talked about all those poor people moving to the cities. They need jobs. You also have a relatively large educated class of people because you did have that middle class, and they're the ones that are the inventors, entrepreneurs, and workers that allow businesses to operate. Then you have a stable government. They do not participate in all the wars that are on the continent, and they had a monarchy and a strong parliament. Pretty much once they chop off the king's head, the monarch listens to parliament. And they have a strong economy. There is money to invest, which always makes businesses easier to start. All right, the spiral up as opposed to a spiral down. Textiles become the first industrialized product, and you get one invention that leads to more and more and more. We're back to that domino effect that we talk about a lot in global studies. It starts out with a flying shuttle that makes it quicker to weave. Then you get the spinning jenny because you need more thread, so you have to be able to produce that quicker. Then they figure, why not just make the whole weaving thing mechanized, so you get the water frame to power it. Then there's the cotton gin and the steam engine and all those inventions that we learned about in the urban game. All right, so leaders realize the potential of the Industrial Revolution, and they forbid factory workers from emigrating. They are not allowed to leave the country. That, however, doesn't really prevent all of them. You still get a few who pretend to be farm workers, so they get to the U.S. and we get factories too. Also, the industrialization in England is what allows slavery to continue in the American South. So you can view that as a bad thing for the slaves in the South. And we've already talked about how the cotton gin was pretty negative for slavery as well, in that it allowed slavery to continue and be profitable. All right, transportation. Once you have the goods, you have to get them to the market. And remember, you want to be able to ship them farther and cheaper. So the steam engine is used in factories as well as in ships and trains. You get the railway boom because rails provide the easiest overland shipping. You also get a lot more people digging canals and investing in canals because we learned about that in the urban game as well. People and communication travel faster as transportation improves. All right, Manchester, England is one of the first industrialized cities, and they see that industrialization, while providing jobs and prosperity, it also leads to urbanization and a lot of new problems for the government, one of the biggest being the slums. The rapid migration means poor living conditions for many workers. And keep in mind, those factory jobs don't always pay well, so that poverty leads to crime. Because remember, when you're starving and you're angry, you're willing to do a lot of things just to get food and to survive. All right, workers are paid, but they also endure terrible conditions, and there are few opportunities to improve their lives. All right, so more money, more problems. Industrialization also leads to social class issues. You have the aristocracy that inherit their wealth and they have titles and they have lots of land, so they can have these large farms and that will make them money. But then you also start to get a richer middle class, and the lower classes also lose out. So the middle class grows and it pushes on both the upper class and the lower class. Because keep in mind, the aristocracy, the upper class, they want to keep their privilege. They want the titles. They want to be known as what's best, and they want everybody to aspire to be them. The lower classes keep getting pushed down. So that middle class, as it grows, makes the really rich aristocracy angry. And keep in mind, the aristocracy is losing their money because factories make more money than farms. And the lower classes are the ones stuck working in the factories, so they're doing all of the work and not seeing many of the benefits. So that's where you get it. The nobility cannot maintain their wealth without moving into business, which is looked down on because if you have a title, you're not supposed to work. And the working class is at the mercy of their bosses, so they don't like that, and that can cause a lot of disagreement. All right, so the benefits. Overall, everybody gets more wealth. Technology continues to increase. Overall, life is improving. Once you get past that initial urbanization, you do start to see better health, better nutrition, and better housing. A lot of that does take government involvement, however. And once the government starts to regulate business and workers realize their power, improvements are made. So what you need to know there is once you get unions, you get the better working conditions.